Hello, and welcome to the VR4LL 2.0 teacher training videos. I'm going to walk you through one of the most important things you can do to make your VR lessons a success, and that's planning them well. VR is an incredibly powerful tool for language learning, but like any tool, it works best when it's a part of a well-designed lesson, not just dropped in as a novelty. So, in this video, we are going to look at how to plan a VR lesson from start to finish, what to think about before the actual lesson, how to connect the VR experience to your language objectives, and how to make sure that every student is active and engaged, whether they are the one wearing the headset or not. Before we get into the planning process, let's quickly orientate ourselves. In VR4LL 2.0, there are 5 virtual environments to choose from. 3 of them are what we call virtual learning environments, or VLEs: the science lab, the restaurant and bar, and the outdoor survival scenario. These are open, immersive spaces where learners complete tasks and communicate in context. Then we have 2 virtual escape rooms, or VERs, a game of phones, which is a fantasy quest full of riddles and puzzles, and a burglar puzzle, which is a crime-solving scenario. These are more structured, narrative-driven experiences. Each environment is designed to create a genuine need for language. Learners aren't just practicing language, they're using it to do something. That's a really important distinction, and it shapes how we plan around it. So, how do you choose which environment to use? These are 3 main questions to ask yourself. First, what's the level of your learners? The good news is that all 5 environments in the VR4LL 2.0 can be adapted to suit different levels. The VERs, the escape rooms, do involve puzzles, riddles, and deductive reasoning alongside the language work. But with the right scaffolding and support, they can work for a wide range of learners. Equally, the VLEs offer open-ended tasks that you can make as challenging or as structured as your class needs. The key is in how you brief your students, what language support you provide beforehand, and how you design the outside team's roles. We'll explore this in much more detail in both modules 5 and 6 and in the briefing and debriefing video. Second, what are your language objectives? If you want learners to practice sequencing language, conditionals, or process descriptions, the science lab is ideal. If you're working on service vocabulary, polite requests, or handling complaints, the restaurant fits beautifully. If your class is focused on narrating events, making decisions under pressure, or survival vocabulary, consider the outdoor scenario. As part of VR4LL 2.0, we have developed a full set of CEFR-aligned language learning objectives for all 5 environments across all levels. You'll find these in the course materials. They're designed to help you quickly identify which objectives match your class and slot them directly into your lesson plan. Third, what do you want to happen before and after the VR session? The environment you choose should connect naturally to the activities you can do in the normal classroom. For example, the burglar puzzle escape room pairs wonderfully with an alibi role-play activity or a police photo fit task. The restaurant, VLE, connects to clear content about food, nutrition, and hospitality culture. Always think of the VR session as the heart of a larger lesson sequence, not a standalone activity. A simple but effective way to plan your VR lesson is to think in 3 phases: prepare, experience, and extend. We have created a lesson plan template that you can find linked below. Feel free to use it and adapt it to your own and your students' needs. This framework will be explored in much more depth in the written content of both Module 5 and Module 6, and you'll also find detailed, practical guidance on the prepare and extend phases in our dedicated video on briefing and debriefing students. The prepare phase happens before the headsets go on. This is where you activate prior knowledge, introduce key vocabulary, and set the context. If you are doing the science lab, you might pre-teach some basic sequencing expressions like first, then, next, finally, or introduce the names of equipment they'll encounter. If you're using the restaurant, you might discuss dining etiquette or review language for making orders or handling complaints. Don't skip this step. This gives students cognitive scaffolding. They arrive in the virtual world already knowing what kind of language they need. The experience phase is the VR session itself. But here is a critical point. In most cases, only 1 or 2, maybe 3 students will be wearing headsets at any given time. The rest of the class must have a clear, active role. They might be acting as the outside team, giving instructions, checking clues, discussing strategies, or keeping notes. Assign roles before the VR session starts. In the burglar puzzle, for example, students who aren't in the headset can be the detectives, listening, advising, and deducing. Here are some other ideas for the outside team. One student could be the navigator who gives directions. Another could be the vocabulary expert who looks up unknown words and feeds them into the headset wearer. A journalist could take notes and later report back on what happened. And an evaluator could observe and give constructive feedback on the language used. You can also give the outside team prediction tasks, asking them to guess what will happen next or discuss what they would do differently. This keeps the whole class engaged and means VR becomes a whole class communicative activity, not a spectator sport. The extend phase is what happens after the headsets come off. This is often where the richest language work happens. Students debrief, retell, reflect, discuss, write. The VR experience gives them something real and shared to talk about, and that shared reference point is genuinely motivating. We'll look at this in much more detail in the briefing and debriefing video.